think it's always that reflection thing where you look back and you're like, why did I feel so lonely at this time in my life? Or why did I feel so, if I had the church and I had this and I had all these things that were supposed to I had the recipe book for happiness, but I wasn't happy, and that's always tough to kind of come to terms with. And I think that and I don't want to start, bagging on the church, because it's actually not a church thing. It's a culture thing, where you have sometimes these families that are, and parents and moms and dads and whatnot, so busy holding callings or doing this and that the time that they could be spending with their own kids and building those own relationships aren't happening. And, I'm just trying now to make very different decisions in my life. To me, the priority on Sunday is not to be at church. The priority on Sunday is to be with my family, creating and cultivating real experiences. Because I'll tell you what, every single person, I'm not exaggerating, every single person who was my age that I grew up and went to church with is now a non-member. Maybe save one or two. And legitimately, my friend group that I kind of went to high school with and whatnot, and all of them are gone. And it's fascinating to me also the relationship they have with their parents. And I would just say that, I'm really trying to think about how to do it differently, how to understand the place religion, how it serves, a family and a group and whatnot. And I think that there's also the individual side of it. It's all family related, but that's kind of why I came to it, was because of family.
Yeah, it's always been about family.
Yeah,
for you.
Yeah, that's literally the church's slogan.
Really? I've never been.
Yeah, it's trademark.
Yeah. I love that your mom eventually went and met your stepdad there, and that it became, it created the family you were seeking.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's a beautiful. Did you feel, or at what point, it seems like you've been a caretaker. Like you caretake for your family quite early, and that you have in your soul a sort of, I am a caretaker, I'm a provider. When did you first feel like that? How young
It's a great observation. That's a great observation. I would say you're spot on. And honestly, I think that from a very early age, because I was aware, my mom, did me the service of being honest with me and trying to not hide the complexities of life. And I think also too, when you're seeing your mom date, and you're kind of every dude that comes around, this could be my new dad. It's a weird thing. It changes the way you think about and you perceive the world. You're kind of expecting or trying to be open to the idea that you're going to maybe love somebody. And that you're going to trust them and all these things, as opposed to just having parents and growing up with that. And so I think that she really allowed me to kind of have that understanding. And I felt I just think from the very beginning, I was a caretaker, and I felt that was a critical part of my role. And
it must have been so hard for your mom. I mean, I cannot imagine. I'm a new parent.
Yeah.
I'm 37, and I have a wife and sometimes grandparents. And I cannot imagine being 16, having a kid, and then in your late teens, in your 20s, being a single mother. It doesn't make any sense to me.
And giving up the opportunity to do so much in life because of that too. That's the other thing that I think was really tough for me, is as I got older, that caretaker mentality kind of wreaked a little havoc in my life, and it's
how so?
Just because I think that my decisions have always been less based on what's the best, what do I want, and more about well, how is this person going to perceive what I'm doing? And I remember when I decided to quit college at 19, I was going to junior college at the time, but I had incredible financial aid because I was the first person in my family to be able to go to college, and I had great grades, and my ethnic background gave me more financial aid. And I had received a scholarship. Anyway, I was in a good position to go to college, and I decided to quit. And that was such a complex time between my parents and I, because
I'm sure they did not like that.
Not at all. And especially when I'm I'm pursuing this career path that doesn't exist.
Everything they sacrificed.
And that's the tough thing, is I knew that was exactly what their thought was. They weren't saying that, but I knew my mom had sacrificed a lot, and I felt that burden. And so it's kind of this thing that's interesting where like caretaking is sort of the root. It's the upstream problem. The it's the upstream cause. The downstream problem of being a caretaker is that you feel the need to prove yourself, because when you aren't taking care, or you aren't meeting the needs of the person or the thing that you feel like is part of your life's purpose.
You're not living up to your...
Yeah, you overcompensate by feeling like, oh, I need to prove myself. And I remember vividly, like, that was the single greatest driving force in my life to do what I'm doing now and be the very best and burn all the bridges that I had to, and whatever it takes. Like, it didn't matter, because the point was like, I'm going to be successful because I'm going to show my mom that her sacrifice is worth it. That's not, and I just have to say this, like, I'm aware now that that's not a burden I should have ever carried, but that's just what it was. Like, that's just the truth.
We're all really complex.
Yeah.
And we all have our baggage, and and sometimes there's positive attributes to them. Sometimes they're leveraged as powerful tools, and sometimes they create huge problems.